Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 in a best of 3 between Walther and Player in the semi-finals of the Steel Division League Code S. Today we are going to be seeing Mont Ormel, and on the Allied side Walther is playing with the 4th Armoured, and on the Axis side Player is using the 17th SS-Panzergrenadier. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup because of where both of these players have come from. Walther was very high in the Asia group and therefore moved straight into the quarterfinals to face off against Bumblebee, who he defeated 2-0. And then Player did a similar move by topping the NA group and then moving into the quarterfinals to face off against Eugen, who he then defeated 2-0. So both of these players have certainly proved themselves already and are ready to face off against each other in the semi-finals. So it should be an awesome matchup between these two. But let's see these divisions. The 4th Armoured, certainly one that a lot of people deem OP at the moment. It has an abundance of infantry availability. It has some really strong units like the M8 Cavalries and the M4 Abrams. It can also bring in things like Bantams as part of the recon. It's got B-26Bs, it's got mortar support in Phase A from the mortar carriers. So there are a lot of tools that it has, and it's basically the ability to thrive in all areas that makes the 4th Armoured a really, really strong division. They also, of course, have the Hellcats that I didn't mention, but I'm not sure we're going to see too many of them on a map like Mont Ormel. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, over on the Axis side, the 17th SS, they mainly focus on their infantry. So Stoßtrupp, Panzergrenadiers in the early game, and then assisted by things like Nebelwerfers and mortars, and I guess just AT guns to keep them safe. They also have the access to the 3-star Stug, and if Player wants to make a concerted effort on one side of the map, I would not be surprised to see the Stug 3 actually join that side of the map. Now, for those of you wondering about my health, I am a little bit better. This is still a bit of a strain on my voice, but I am recovering, so I feel like I'm okay to carry on now, and hopefully we will be seeing daily Steel Division content for the foreseeable future. So, where are these players going to focus? I think it looks like Walther's going to be pushing on this top side. He has the M4 Abrams here with the Bantam, a unit of rifles, and the recon. Seems like a relatively solid combination of units to maybe push through the top side tree line here, and then sort of push across this field and maybe infiltrate Walther's, or Player's, orchard. You can get in behind here, and that would definitely control the top side of the map very well. The only issue with pushing this area is if you don't control the forest, then it's very easy for Player to come down here with the Pak-38 and basically push it through the tree line, find side shots. Same deal with this tree line up on the hill here. You can put an AT gun in here and it has a really, really strong line of sight against anything that's trying to move in this area. So that's something that Walther is going to have to be very careful of. The 17th SS do get their hands on a Pak-40 in Phase A, so if Walther provokes that enough, then Player might afford himself that Pak-40 and try and use it to shut down Abrams. But along the rest of the map, it's just going to be some rifles spread out, just to hold the front line, with the Jeep 30 Cal on the bottom side with the recon there. You can see that this has been backed up by a couple more rifles on the top side. The recon infantry was changed to the Bantam, and the M21 mortar carrier has been brought in. There's also going to be an M8 Cavalry, so definitely a strong top side push focus from Walther. Over on the side of Player, it looks to be more spread out. We've got 2 Stoßtrupp for the top side, accompanied by the Pak-38. Going to be another Stoßtrupp further down, which is going to be accompanied by some Panzergrenadiers. Then on the bottom side of the forested area, we have 2 units of Stoßtrupp with the Pak-38 and the Panzergrenadier. And then on the bottom side, it's going to be 2 units of Pak-38 with the KFZ-70 with, I guess that's either a mortar or the Nebelwerfer. Then the Panzergrens, Stoßtrupp, and the command. So yeah, pretty spread out. Most units are actually on the bottom side here, but it looks like a double Pak 38 is going to be trying to cover this to prevent any aggression from Walther on the bottom side of this map. So, let me just speed up the game, we'll get it underway. And we can see exactly where these troops are going. Yeah, it looks like a relatively even split for player. I'm just trying to get some Stosstroop into these strategic buildings on the top side. If he can keep them in the backside buildings, then they can always use their 100-meter range guns effectively. And with the Stosstroop having a really high infantry HE, it definitely makes sense to take advantage of that. But let's have a look at where these troops are going for Walther. So it does look like they're heading all the way up to this top side for the most part. Going to be some infantry most likely dropped off in the mid here. The M8 cavalry and Bantam definitely heading up. I'm just looking at Abrams here though, which does seem to be stopping at the bottom of the hill and then has an attack move order to push with possibly infantry through the center, which could be a good way to support them, but he's got to be very careful against things like Panzerfausts and Panzerschrecks, because Panzerschrecks are another thing that player will have at his disposal, although it does seem to be that he's focusing a lot on these Pak 38s. However, saying that, here comes a Schwimmwagen with a Panzerschreck. So Pak 38's opening up on this bottom side. It looks like player has revealed multiple salients though, and that to an experienced player will show that there is not too much defending down here. So I would not be surprised to see these Stosstroop try and take more ground. M21 mortar carrier has actually spotted the Pak 38 up in this tree line and will be able to take it out with that shot. That was pretty incredible. The Bantam must have spotted that on the way down because otherwise I'm not entirely sure how that was seen, unless the vehicle was seen driving in there, and that was kind of a bit of a guess from Walther. But it is going to give him a lot of ground on this top side as the Bantam drives through. Luckily for player, the Stosstroop are in position, but they won't be able to land a Panzerfaust on target. The rifle's going to be moving through this hedgerow here. We'll probably find out the hard way. There are Stosstroop in that building. Look how much damage they're going to take very, very quickly indeed. The Stosstroop barely being pinned. And it doesn't look like Abrams and the M8 cavalry will be able to help because of the really nice smoke placement there from player. We've got the mortar carrier coming in now though with the fire support. That's not going to help those rifles live too much longer, I don't think. Rifle squad, if it goes down, that could be very bad news unless the mortar can pin them in time. It does. Up on this top side, the Stosstroop have been brought in. Panzergrenadier as well, going to be dropping their smoke, trying to get into the buildings to prevent the M8 cavalry and Bantam from using the road and continuing to advance on the top side. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, it looks like Walther's rifles here have fallen back. And on the bottom here, the Jeep was taken out. So the Panzergren's just going to be trying to clean out the recon squad there. Currently a +1 for Walther with the ground that he's made on this top side. The Bantam, I think the Abrams there as well managed to actually kill off the Panzergrenadier. I don't know where these Stosstroop are trying to go, but keeping them in one of these buildings would probably be an ideal choice. These Stosstroop actually weren't taken care of, and these ones on the top side were just surrounded, but I don't think Walther particularly is too worried about that. He's going to be bringing in a couple of infantry squads and just continuing on his merry way. Doesn't need to deal with these unless they show themselves. This rifle squad, that's being forced back by the Panzergrenadiers. This was an 81mm mortar on the bottom side, so no Nebelwerfers just yet. SBW 221 actually being brought in for the bottom to provide some recon capability. That can actually be a decent unit for killing things like these M8 cavalry, so quite a nice choice. Either way, on this top side, Panzerschreck was brought into the tree line. It did kill off the Bantam. Now the M8 cavalry is being forced back. Looks like a second shot from the Panzerschreck did take place, and therefore the M8 cavalry is in a spot of bother here as the Panzerschreck does move into range once again. That's going to be a max range shot. Nicely done. Meanwhile, in the forest, well, the Stormtroop, they're in a bit of a sticky spot. The rifles have managed to get the better of them, and this has opened up the center of the map for Walther. So Stormtroop, they're actually going to end up surrendered, and now these rifles no doubt will bump into the Panzerschreck and take out them as well. So player's in a pretty tough spot. He's got good control over the bottom side of the map, with his Stormtroop in really good defensive positions, but for the most part, Stormtroop won't be able to aggressively push into rifles unless there is an abundance of smoke from the mortar carriers here, because the Stormtroop alone won't have enough smoke grenades to really make the ground that they want to. You'll see that the rifles here are going to be able to engage the Stormtroop briefly. The Stormtroop will be able to get into this building here, so they should be okay, but on the top side we can see a Ju-87 has come in and actually disabled the M4 Abrams here just in front of these SS Stormtroop. The Stormtroop jumped forwards, the last guy with his Panzerfaust, and actually take out Abrams there. Really, really nice job. Panzerschreck trying to take on these rifles now. I mentioned how the rifles would bump into the Panzerschreck, and that's going to clean the way for the M8 Cavalry. Ju-87 still hanging about though. Going to be going for the shot onto the WC-52. Must have been the only other vehicle that it could see. 50 cals though from the Bantams there, and the M21 mortar carrier going to help force back the Ju-87 for the meantime. So these Stormtroop, they did make it into the forest here, and that's actually going to put quite a lot of pressure onto these rifles. These rifles at close range, they will be able to do some damage if they're in heavy cover, but I think the Stormtroop will still win out overall, because the Stormtroop will pin down the rifles before the rifles can kill off the Stormtroop. Panzergrenadier, they're actually running down these rifles, which are falling back, and these Panzergrens, well, they're opening up onto the rifles on the bottom side. Now, if the Panzergren can pin down those rifles, then the 221 will be free to surrender them. The trouble is with the 222, it can't defend itself against infantry, so if any squads are actually still sort of able to do anything, then they can throw grenades at the 221 to take it out. Meanwhile though, Walther is maintaining a very strong position here, using the M21 mortar carrier to pin down the Panzergrenadier. This M8 Cavalry is kind of taking a bit of a defensive stance, which is smart considering there's a Panzerschreck waiting to take it out. But one of the rifles was surrendered, the second one is also going to be surrendered. These Panzergrenadiers doing work with the MG42. Doesn't look like Walther's really going to have much of that though. Is bringing in the Hellcat to kill off the 221, and it will be able to aim very quickly, but not quick enough, as the 221 does get behind cover. Now this 221 at close range can kill a Hellcat, so Walther's going to have to be careful about that. The paper thin armor might not be quite enough. Stormtroop here taking on the rifles. I mentioned how this engagement would probably come down to the fact that the Stormtroop would pin down the rifles before the Stormtroop died. That's exactly what happened there. A little bit of assistance from the 81mm mortar, but Hellcat was also getting involved with its HE shells. So, player winning out for now on that bottom side, but on the top side, it's still looking pretty grim. The M21 mortar carrier going to try and take out the last member of that Stormtroop squad. Rifles, in the meantime, they're coming down to try and clean up this Panzergrenadier. Are actually going to end up spotting the Pak-38. So that Pak-38, very vulnerable. The 81mm mortar is going to want to pin down that squad. Meanwhile, M8 Cavalry was taken out by the Panzerschreck. Rifles have found themselves pinned down by the Panzergrenadiers previously, I believe. Bantam managed to stop that from happening. But this Panzerschreck going to be taking as many shots as it can. 50 cows when they get on target, though. We can say goodbye to the Panzerschreck, surely. So, certainly an interesting front line. The push through here from Walther is actually not too scary anymore, since the M8 Cavalry is dead. The M4 Abrams on the top side is dead. Basically what needs to happen is player needs to find a way to clean up the Bantams, and he doesn't really have to be worried about AT that much. So bringing in a Stug 3 here is actually a really smart choice. It can kill off the Bantams easily. Can help support against these rifles because they don't have bazookas. So it looks to be going pretty damn well for Walther, but it could easily turn round with the arrival of the Stug 3. All the Pak 38, it's rolled into position on top of this hill. I mentioned how this is a very strong point for the AT guns. And right here, we might see the M21 mortar carrier go down. It's going to be a transmission damage. It is falling back. Pak 38 does have time to find the killing blow. It does. That was just about to move out of range, but manages to find the shot. Nicely done. Stug 3 running down these rifles with that machine gun. And now the Bantam in trouble. WC-52 on the bottom side is going to be approached by the 221. The 221 with its AP shell should be able to deal with the WC-52 quite nicely. Walther can be a nuisance here though with the Bantam. Since the Bantam's much faster than the Stug 3 and the Stug 3 is an assault gun, the Stug 3 will struggle to aim at the Bantam in time, so Walther can just go ring around the rosy, that group of trees there, and just keep it out of line of sight for the time being. Panzergrenadiers here, they're going to end up killing off the vehicle on the bottom side there. 221 did go down, looks like the Hellcat moved to the bottom side here and took a shot from that. Meanwhile, actually this Hellcat went down to the Pak 38. Big loss there for Walther, and it seems like a lot of Walther's important units are slowly but surely being taken out, and as I mentioned before, the Bantams just drove round here and is actually killing off some of these Panzergrenadiers. They are just not going to be able to deal with this Bantam that effectively without the help of this 221, I feel. The 221 does take out the WC-52, so that removes a lot of the extra territory that Walther had his hands on. So that is currently only a +1 for Walther. But I think Walther, you know, he's doing a good job of like microing his units to make sure that he doesn't lose them so easily. Down here though, these rifles, they're going to run straight into the Stoss troop. That's going to be a surrender. 11 men gone just like that. These rifles do not want a part of that Stoss troop squad. Yeah, maybe they do. Walther's going to be charging them in there. P-38 now coming in on the top side to strafe some infantry. So with that M21 mortar carrier going down, Walther is going to have to rely on this P-38 to pin infantry and fire support weapons. Look at this coming in from player. He's got a couple more units of infantry here. Actually 4 more units of infantry coming in with the 232. The 232 with that 20mm autocannon should be able to clean up the Bantams quite nicely. Stug 3 plus the 221 looking to kill the Bantam here for sure. We also now see AA coming in, so it looks like player may be trying to focus on the Ju-87s again. But for the time being on this bottom side, the Pak 38, that has moved forwards. That's going to be taking a shot at the Hellcat. I think Walther's lucky to get away with that. I guess the Pak 38 didn't have any decent veterancy, but still. That could have been very, very sad indeed for Walther, as he has continued to lose quite a lot of his important units. Now the Stoss troop here almost getting the better of this rifle squad. Bantam, crew wounded. 221 should be able to clean that up. Go, job done. Stug 3 now pushing ahead aggressively to take more ground. And it's currently still a +1 for Walther, but only 52% territory lead, and only a matter of time until the player can make that ground back. Stoss troop right in the face of the engineers here. They're not going to be able to get surrendered, but the engineers not able to finish off with the grenade, have to just shoot them to death. 232, however, will be returning the favour onto one of these engineer squads. That is brutal. Focke-Wulf 190 now coming in to engage the P-38, and Walther sees that coming, going to be getting out of there. Pak 38 on this bottom side, cannot fire at the Hellcat. Hellcat able to engage out of range due to the limited 1000 meter range of the Pak 38. Some rifles have been found behind enemy lines. Stoss troop going to be trying to take those out. It's good to see a player recovering here, actually pushing himself a +1 now. 232 is going to be trying to engage the M8 command. So these are basically similar to the M8 cavalry in the way that they are extremely mobile. Same stats more or less, just come in with extra command. And yeah, that 232 is taken care of. I think that was actually the 50 cal that found the kill. These Stoss troop now surrounded, but in a pretty nice place to protect against this road, and anything that tries to come down the road at least. So it's actually managed to get those into a nice position, but the 2-3-2 there, of course, unfortunate to be gone, because now it removes some of the territory gain that the player had found on this top side. Now Stosstroop, they are still trying to advance onto these rifles, but I think the Stosstroop might end up getting taken out here. Oh, never mind. One burst from the PPSH, or the Publisher, and it takes out 3 men all in one go. Crazy. Okay, good job, Stosstroop. Certainly showed me up. Ju-87 comes in. It is going to get taken out. Looks like it did kill the Hellcat on this bottom side, though. So I guess that was a worthy kill. Wasn't that Hellcat? It must have been this one here that died. But yeah, in the end, Walther does get the upper hand, really, because the Ju-87 definitely costs more than a Hellcat. So Stug 3 taking care of another unit of infantry, really can just shrug off anything that this infantry throws at him. It's only when units like these armoured rifles and the cavalry scouts show up that the Stug 3 really has to worry. And that's a very limited amount of Walther's overall infantry, so that's okay. IG-18 going to be continuing to engage the M8 Command here. That's forcing it back. The M8 Command, with its limited armour, does suffer at the hands of the 9HE of the IG. Oh, it looks like these rifles, they have unwittingly revealed themselves to some Sturm Pioneers and have been flamed into submission. That was not ideal for Walther. Panzergrenadiers, they are going to find themselves finally pinned and potentially taken care of on this bottom side. They've used up all of their MG ammunition, the MG42 here. This Panzergrenadier squad did absolute work down here, cleaning up 2 rifle squads. Now going to have to be very careful as the engineers continue to press forwards. The cavalry scouts also here with the recon information to find the Aufklärer. M5A1 with the 30 cal fire support will be able to clean up any infantry that reveal themselves. There goes the Aufklärer. But the Marder 3 now has something to say about it. The only trouble with this engagement is that unless the Marder 3 hits, like it did, then the Stuart would win at that range because it has the 8 AP to get through that 2 front armour. And the driver knock onto the Marder 3 is not ideal, but the M5A1 here just going to be zooming into position. P38 going to be coming in with the strafing run to try and stop that from advancing any further. So with these M5A1s kind of dotted around now, it does make it a little bit more difficult for player to be super aggressive with the Stug 3 like he was previously. Because he's not dealing with Bantams and WC-52s anymore, he's actually got to worry about the close range engagements, which the Stug 3 doesn't deal with very well. Sturm Pioneer is going to be coming in here though, trying to clean out these rifles. And as long as player has Sturm Pioneers and Stosstroop at his disposal, he should win the closer range engagements. But the issue is Stosstroop, because they have a low amount of soldiers in their squads, they can really suffer at the hands of like an abundance of 12-man rifle squads and these engineers. So slowly but surely the Stosstroop will get killed off, and Walther will still be able to replace his infantry. That's basically what I'm saying, is that the availability of the Stosstroop will not hold up against the availability of the rifles. But for now, it seems like players having quite a lot of success. These Stosstroop can definitely wipe out armoured rifles quite easily, because the armoured rifles, they only have 6 HE at the 100 meter range, while Stosstroop have 18. It's quite significant. Cavalry scouts though going to be engaging from the 200 meter range with the M1 carbine, and while the Bantam getting into range there is going to melt that squad nice and easy. 2-star Marder 3 going to be taking care of another Hellcat on the bottom side, and I didn't expect to see many Hellcats on a map like this, and well, this is probably the reason why. I mean, I guess they've been used in the right location, but there is 1, 2, 3 dead Hellcats now sitting out here. And that's just because they've been ambushed from this position by the Pak-38s and now the Marder 3. So engineers making ground on the bottom side, M5A1 just covering those for the meantime. Stug 3 here trying to stay out of range of the cavalry scouts as they've moved forwards. Sturm Pioneers should be able to clean them up quite nicely, just burn them out of all of these buildings, force them back. And it looks like the Stug 3 may be able to get onto line of sight here and finish them off. So now in the mid, we have the armoured rifles and engineers making a push. They're going to be coming up into the face of the Stern Pioneers. Player's going to be on point with his infantry micro to avoid the grenades or the TNT here from Walther. You can see the Stern Pioneers, they will win as long as they don't get hit by this. They're already making a run, they survived for now. Now they can head back and engage the engineers as long as they don't get strafed into submission by the P-38 Lightning. And that may have just turned the tables enough, actually. Make a difference there. But two P-38s trying to deal with the Focke-Wulf on 90. It looks like the Focke-Wulf's going to get the better of the P-38s though. There goes one. The second one may be toast as well if the player micros this well. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, as another P-38 has come into the field. Stern Pioneer still making a run for it. Not favouring that engagement at all. Armoured Rifles going to come up against the SS-Panzergrenadier. Can one man fend off the Armoured Rifles here? No, he cannot. 7 men gets the better of 1 eventually. And the P-38 might be shooting down a Focke-Wulf. Nice successful engagement there for Walther, so no longer has to worry about that. These Stern Pioneers need to smoke themselves off pretty badly in order to make ground towards the Armoured Rifles. It's going to be a 232 coming up the main road now to support this infantry. Going to have to be a little bit careful of the M5A1 though. There is a Panzergrenadier in a really nice position. If this M5A1 is actually spotted, it could come down and take that out. So 232, it will bump into that shortly, I am sure. And when it does, the player's going to be in a bit of a sticky spot. Going to want to reverse that out of line of sight sooner than later, and will manage to be saved by the Stern Pioneers for the time being. Here comes the Panzergrenadier. Take that out. Actually, maybe not. Not sure why that's heading up, but it is, when it could be taking out the M5A1 and opening up the way for the 232 through the centre. It looks like this M18 Hellcat has come in. The Marder 3 was taken out and the weapon jam on the Stug 3 has occurred. So the Hellcat going to be trying to finish that off if it can. But the Stug 3 actually getting behind cover here is pretty damn important, as it will allow it to remain in cover for the time being. Stern Pioneers, they were cleaned up by the engineers in the meantime. And we're currently at a 50-50. Now what I do see is that as the game continues, now that we've reached phase C, the 17th SS is going to get pretty low on infantry availability, and Walther's going to be able to continue to push through with what he has remaining. That's if Walther has more infantry at his disposal in phase C. Now players going to be bringing in a Pack 43, sorry, for this bottom side. That's going to be trying to help out, but these Pack 38s, they're doing work. I mean, that's an M5A1 going down. The M18 Hellcat could have also been in trouble there if Walther hadn't seen that. 232. Trying to get the better of the units here. Oh, Ju-87 actually gets a shot onto the M5A1 on the hill. And is that a 232 kill onto the M5A1? Or was that the Pack 38? No, it couldn't have been the Pack 38. A double P38 takes out the Ju-87. So that must have been 232 kill onto the M5A1 at close range. Really nice kill. P38's trying to get onto the Focke-Wulf as well. Clean that up. So yeah, crazy stuff. Action all over the map, and I apologise for missing quite a lot of action throughout this game so far, but I think it's important to focus on the areas that I have been as well. Marder 3 on this top side has been internal fragmented. Hellcat did take a shot in reply, but got the upper hand here. And this Marder 3 is going to want to get out of dodge. Can fall back into this sort of ditch here to stay safe for the time being. Now if player wants to maintain control, he is going to have to invest in some AA on this top side, because the Focke-Wulf otherwise will never defeat the P38s. And that's something he's going to want to try and do. Engineers there easily taken out by a 232. And these 232s, they've been used very, very well so far. to sort of delete infantry and take on armor at close range. So nice job by player to make that happen. It's unfortunate for player actually that he did fall prey to so much aggression early on from Walther. It's not something I actually expected from Walther, but I think Walther definitely exploited as much ground as he could have with the units that he had left after he overextended so much. So yeah, Walther getting himself this lead was really, really impressive. And it didn't feel like there was too much player could do about it. But now player has the chance to kind of push back, or at least he did, until Walther like reinforced himself with more Hellcats and M4A1s and so on. Now he's got to find a way to get rid of this extra armor. The M5A1 here, the M4A176 and the M18 Hellcat. He does have the Pak-43 that can delete that M5A1 on the main road. So that's going to take out one of those three pieces. But removing the other two is going to be extremely important if he wants to be able to press forwards more with infantry. That's assuming he still has infantry availability, that it looks like he does for the time being. And these Panzerschrecks, they're in really, really strong positions here. This Panzerschreck actually found and surrendered a unit of infantry, looking to kill off the M3 half-track, but gets taken out by the M18 and the M3 half-track there instead. That's an engineer squad. Has been revealed. 232 gonna rip them a new one. Panzerschreck takes out a unit of infantry, and you might not think that's very important, but honestly, infantry at this point is extremely scarce, and losing an infantry squad like that removes the capability to push through places like forests easily. And so that's a big problem. We can't really afford to keep doing that, at least. Armoured rifles, they're going to find and kill off this Panzerschreck. That's going to get surrendered. And now an M4A1OP has come in with a 155mm off-map. It's going to be trying to clean up any infantry that's left over. Focke-Wulf 190 going to be coming out wide to try and shoot down this P-38 bomber. Should be successful in doing so. Taking its sweet time, but gets the job done. However, now the P-38 is on its tail, and there is a second P-38 coming in. Could this be player losing his second P-30 or Focke-Wulf 190? It looks like it is. P-38 rolls out the way, allows his wingman to take the kill. And lovely job there by Walther. So that's going to be probably the second of only two Focke-Wulf 190s that player has to control the skies. Now going to be solely reliant on AA. And that's quite unfortunate because he did bring in the AA towards the top side, but not going to be able to utilize it to shoot down enemy aircraft now because he doesn't have the lethality of those Focke-Wulfs to use. Last troop, they do get taken out on the bottom side. Going to be replaced by a couple units of infantry here instead. Hellcat, however, almost gets the shot off, but just unloaded in time. Speertroop and Panzergrenadiers are going to be the ones in the way. 232 getting the better of some armoured rifles. Now going to be trying to kill off this M3 half-track. Meanwhile on the top side, the Marder 3, it had recovered with the help of the Opel Blitz munition, which brought in some more ammunition to the internal fragments. But the M18 Hellcat has got the better of the Marder 3 once again. It's going to be smoked off by the Sostroop. And the Marder 3, will it reveal itself to the M18 again? It will. That M18, god, that Marder 3 even, it's playing with fire. It really is. Giving that M18 so many shots on target, and surely it's only a matter of time until that actually hits the mark. Anyway, that's going to be a 2-2-1 surrendered here, as the rifles run past, and the M4A1 creeping up and around the corner, looking for the engagement with the Stug 3. The Hellcat gets the side shot though, and that's a Stug 3 dead. Still a +1, or well, is a +1 for player at this moment. He has made some ground in the mid and on the top side. And that's not too bad for player, and if it continues to be the case, then it will be a draw. But with Walther taking out the Stug 3 here, there really isn't much in his way other than the Pak-43. Saying that a Stug 3 or Stug 4, sorry, has been purchased, and that should be able to attack and kill an M4A176 quite easily. unless of course it gets side shot by an M18 like the Stug 3 did. This Stug 4 on the top side also going to be able to push back the M18s unless it gets double teamed. But with the assistance of this Pack 40, is that? It's Pack 38. It looks like that Stug 4 should be safe to sort of support infantry in a push forwards. It just depends on whether or not player actually has the infantry to work with. 232, that's going to get internal fragmented by the Rhino. Rhino doesn't manage to get off a second shot as that does fall back. These Panzergrenadiers though getting the better of engineers at range, not going to be able to get the better of them at close range though as the grenade goes off. Is that going to pin down the Panzergrens? It does. Spearthroop going to have to save the day there, stick nice and cozy so that those don't surrender at the 100 meter range. ME-109 G2BR-21 comes in with the rocket strike to prevent that infantry engagement from folding in favour of Walther. Double P-38 now coming onto the field to engage those, but instead being told to strafe to death the Pack 43, and that is a nice kill for the P-38 Lightnings. Also, the Stug 4 has gone down. That is dreadful for player on this bottom side. I think it was once again side shot. Actually, maybe not. No, the Hellcat just went straight through the front armor. At max range? It must have been 1000 meter range. In which case, that was a 15 AP shot through 12 front armor, which is pretty damn lucky. Unfortunate for player then. Without the Pack 43 there either, this M4A1 and the Hellcat and the Rhino can easily support all of this infantry through the Stosstroop, the Stern Pioneers, anything really that stands in his way. So he should be able to stop this +1 from player and secure himself the victory. M8 Command trying to make a push through the centre, does bump into the Pack 40. 232 providing that with the extra command it needed. On the top side, Hellcat currently struggling to do too much up here, whilst player continues to make some ground. So player has the potential to keep pushing for the draw on this top side, especially if he's going to get the kill onto this M4A1 OP as well. And that's going to open up some more ground, because all of Walther's armour, or significant armour, is on the bottom side. The M4A176, the M18 Hellcat, M4A1 Rhinos. There's going to be 2 more Rhinos down here. So this is where Walther is going to be putting his focus. Pack 38 does take out a half track there, however does reveal itself to the M18 and the P-38 strafing runs. So not ideal. But look at these infantry squads on the bottom side. The Spearthroop down to 1 man. The Panzergrens now down to 1 man. 232 out of ammunition. This is just waiting to be broken. And it just is a matter of Walther taking a gamble and pushing aggressively like he did with the M8 Command up on this middle side. Like near these forests, like up this road. So the Stug 4, that's now going to be brought in. When I play with the 17th SS, I do actually have an abundance of Stug 4s on my division because I think they can deal with units like these M18 Hellcats and anything with 13 AP very well because they have 12 front armor. The issue comes when they engage at close range, and the M4A176 is really good at that. Like, it's really good at like killing units at close range. In this case though, player looking to ambush the M4A176 can't quite get line of sight though. If we zoom all the way in here, actually I can't even show you from that angle. Well, saying that, he does find the kill, so it doesn't matter. Regardless, the fact that he was a little bit farther back there meant that these hills were just slightly in the way of getting the clean shot onto the M4A176. It's not modelled too well with this tool, so I was trying to show you guys manually, but I couldn't lift the camera up to show you. Anyway, moves it forwards enough that he can find the kill, and the Stug 4 doesn't have anything to do anymore, just got to defend against the double M4A1 Rhino, M4A176 charging through on this bottom side. And this was the gamble that I was talking about. If he can make it work, then it will certainly pay off. Player desperately trying to get a Schwimmwagen with the Panzerstreck into position in time. Will be smoking off with the Panzergrenadier, and that's going to deter Walther for the time being. Now the Stug moving down to try and engage the M4A176. One problem that the Stug 4 does have is its lack of veterancy. Whereas the M4A1 here, with the 6 accuracy, base 1 veterancy, gonna get the job done. Yeah, the Stug 4s at close range, they do suffer, and that was a like 700 meter range engagement. Stug 4s really shine at like the 1200 meter range, where the 13 AP can't penetrate them. That's going to be a bailed out M4A1 Rhino though. Oh, the Pack 40 up on the top here, finding the shot once again. This Pack 40 has been crucial. It took out the M8 Command on the main road. It took out the M4A176. It's just taken out another Rhino here. Really, really nice position for player. And now player is continuing to push the +1 on the top side. He's managed to utilize these really low health squads of infantry to make quite a lot of ground so far. And that's probably due to the fact that Walther is probably the one running out of infantry first, which is why you can see him relying so heavily on the M4A1 Rhinos. So as long as player can keep this up, keep his infantry alive whilst killing off Walthers, then we might even see a +2 in favour of player. And if that occurs, then player could win this match, which would be quite something against the 4th Armoured, after an incredibly good early game for Walther. So, it looks like player may have dragged this out long enough to find himself a victory, unless Walther does find a way to break through with his remaining vehicles on this bottom side, like the tanks and so on. Saying that, I feel it's going to be very hard for him to do so. There's going to be a Stoss troop defending this road with the Panzerschreck. And then on the bottom side, there's this Stoss troop. It's going to be taking up this building here. And there's no real way for this tank to drive through with the Stoss troop in position. I just hope that player doesn't get greedy and tries to go for like a max range engagement with the Stoss troop, because there's a very real opportunity that the Stoss troop won't kill the M4A1 in one shot, and then the Rhino will just overrun the Stoss troop. Pack 43 though, kills off the Hellcat, and taking out these units one by one throughout this game has been so damn important. It really has. Saying that, M18 Hellcat does take out the Marder 3 up here. It's now dead all the way back here. It looks like it got bombed as well. And now this Stug 4 at close range going to have to deal with an M4A1 and the M18, whilst the Pack 38 is being forced back. Really not good news. JU-87 came in for the attack onto the M4A1 Rhino. Looks like it is going to get shot down by the P38 though. Stoss troop also took a couple of shots there with the Panzerfaust. Looks like they were the ones to finish off the kill. Oh, nice kill though on the top side here. 232 gets the better of the Hellcat by the looks of things. And now the Stug 3 is coming out around at close range, but can't do anything because it's internal fragmented. Oh boy, that is not good. Now the Pack 38 has been destroyed by the B-26B. The Recon here surely going to get the better of the Stoss troop. They do. M4A1 76 sorry, comes around the corner and kills off the Stug 4. The 232, it's bailed out now, going to be finished off. It's just catastrophe for player on the top side. Walther managing to find some ground with his M4A1 and M18, his armor finally coming through for him after he lost so much of it on the bottom side. That's incredible. So, can either of these players find a +1 to solidify the victory? Actually, I don't think Walther needs to. Yeah, he just needs to keep it at 50-50 here, or 49-51, that's fine. And he will win in a minute's time. Absolutely incredible. I really thought player had like a decent chance to push through on the top side, but it seemed as though Walther had just enough points to bring in that armor to prevent player from making too much more ground. And the Stoss troop there, just in the slightly wrong position to take advantage of that engagement. And the Recon, of all units, a Recon, 2-man Recon squad, saved the day. That Stoss troop was not contested. The M4A176 would have gone down, and the Stug 4 would have most likely been resupplied by the Opel Blitz munitions. So, Crazy stuff. Stug 4 actually comes forward, takes out that Jeep there. It looks like the M4A176 went down as well. There is some ground to be made down here, but I don't think player's going to have enough time to push through the Rhino and the M5A1. Walther's done just enough to hold on. What an absolutely incredible game, guys. It's absolutely like destroyed my throat, I'm not going to lie. But I think it's 100% worth it, because that was an absolutely insane game. This is the first of this best of 3 series, guys. It's only the first game, and the first game is that good. I mean, come on. It's only going to get better, surely. And there we have it. 3,360 losses, or kills, sorry, to 3,755 losses. Walther just about holding on. You can see that player had the potential to push through, but that needed to be like an extra 200 kill difference, and you know, that could have been game over, and player might have just about brought it back. Another really cool thing about this match is it was a 17th SS game, which nearly won without a single use of Nebelwerfers. So you've also got to consider that. In terms of kills, well, M21 mortar carrier cleans out the Pak-38s and some Starship early on, but did get caught out by the Pak-38 on the high ground. And player utilizing the high ground with the AT guns throughout this game really did so much damage. It was insane. I think the air micro for player could have been much better. Like, these Ju-87s were never actually fully supported by Focke-Wulfs. They were always brought in separately. And that's just impatience for the most part, I feel. So something potentially to work on for player. M18 Hellcat, how that managed to break through one of the Stug 4s on the bottom side. I think, was it this one? No, that's the M4A1s. But these M4A176s, they did work. They always seem to. This P38 shot down 2 Focke-Wulfs and a third Ju-87. Yeah, this M18 cleaned up the Marder 3 and Stug 3 on the top side. That's just nuts. Either way, plenty of kills for Walther, especially in the early game, which allowed him to break through quite substantially. But player managed to find a kill onto all of the important units. So the Bantam went down, the M8 Cavalry and the Abrams here went down, and then the Hellcat on the bottom side. These were like all of the Phase A units that player needed to kill. And based on that, had a really good chance to push back once he brought in the Stug 3. And you can see it just chewed through infantry, because that's all it really had to go up against. Whilst the 221 came and dealt with the WC-52 and the Bantam that was holding the ground. So this was the moment where player really could have made a lot of ground, and maybe didn't make as much as he could have. But then again, the reaction from Walther was pretty damn decent. Pak-40, this is the one that was up on the hill. M8 Command, M4A1OP, this was the off map. Then side shot the M4A176, and then the Rhino at max range. Incredible stuff. Pak-43 was actually a really good choice to help defend the bottom side. And I think these Stug 4s were good choices, but in some ways left quite vulnerable due to the lack of infantry availability that player had towards the end there. Both players were suffering. I think Walther suffered first, and that's why he almost lost. But just managed to hold on enough by throwing armor at the enemy. And that is it. That is where I'm going to leave it, guys. So, yeah, as you can tell, I am still pretty damn ill, but I will continue for you guys, because I am getting better. And this was certainly well worth the effort. In the meantime, though, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to joining you in the second game of this best of 3 between Walther and player. Goodbye.